على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، الحمد لله. أنا مبال ما كبن يوم Sheikh Ali, alhamdulillah. Donas lemela shomna bena fanye. Alhamdulillah, we've been honored to be with our Sheikh, our elder Sheikh Ali, hafidhahullah. He's going to tell us about his journey. He's going to speak to us about how we became Muslim, alhamdulillah. Jazakallahu khair, barakallahu fihi. تفضل Sheikh, introduce yourself first.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam amma ba'd. My name is Abu Tassia Ali King. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I'm born and raised. I moved to Philadelphia in 1988. I took my Shahada in 1992. I was living in North Philadelphia. Alhamdulillah. I come originally from, I guess you would say, a Baptist family, Christian family. Wasn't really religiously oriented. Our parents made sure we went to church every Sunday, Bible study, whole 9 yards, barakallahu feek. And my grandmother really was, as I could see, as I would put it, like, I guess the most religious, staunch religious person in the family, and everything kind of in the family revolved around her. She was an usher in the church. She was one of those Christians that believe, no labor on Sundays. Like, she would cook on Saturday, and everything was prepared on Saturday, even her stuff with church and all that. And she would just like warm her food up or whatever. And I was very close to my grandmother, so she would try to teach me, everything, about the religion and this, that, and the other. But I, growing up, I went to Bible study, I went to church, I went, the whole 9 yards, like I said. But I never really bought into the concept. It never, when I look back at it, it never really settled into my heart, and I think that for the most part, I probably was doing it more out of respect for my grandmother than what I truly believed. So, alhamdulillah, I moved to Philadelphia, fast forwarding. I moved to Philadelphia, after I had went back to New York. I went to, I played ball in high school. I played basketball in high school. I played basketball in college. I spent some time in the military, and I went back to New York, and I was in New York as an adult rather than living under my family's roofs, and I got spoiled. I spent a lot of time down south and mid-south, and New York was too expensive for me. I was a manager. I was managing a restaurant in Midtown Manhattan. I still had a roommate, and I was like, I gotta get out of here. So I used to come to Philadelphia, and I used to play in the Sunny Hill League in the summertime. I used to play in the college division. So I made a decision that I was gonna make a move, and I said I'd go to Philadelphia because I liked Philadelphia, and I used to stay here in the summer. And for the most part, it wasn't too far from New York. I could still, visit my family and things of that nature. Well, anyway, moving forward, I was still, hanging out, doing the things I was doing. And then, alhamdulillah, by Allah's permission, I was seriously thinking. I was like, things got to change. I'm in my 30s now. I'm moving into my 30s. I'm still doing the same thing I was doing when I was a teenager, young 20s. I said, it got to be more to life than this. I said, I got to make a change. So I just thinking to myself, and I was like, really like, I said, well, maybe I'll try religion, right? But what happened was, alhamdulillah, I said, well, I never bought into the religious thing. So, what am I going to do? So by Allah's permission, I said, well, what about Islam? I never really got into Islam. So I stayed up all night. Couldn't sleep because I was like, I got to do something. Anyway, the people that I was staying with, the very next day, that morning, we were sitting in the living room, whatever, and there was a knock at the door. And the brother, the person, he went and opened the door. And when he opened the door, a brother stepped in, a man and a woman stepped in. Brother was in a thou. He had a kufi on. His wife, who I found out was his wife later, she had on all black. She had niqab and everything. And I was like, man, if this ain't a sign, I don't know what is. So while they talking, I'm just really like antsy, had no patience or whatever. I want to talk to this brother. So anyway, pushing it forward, finally got a chance to talk to the brother. And I said, listen, I said, I want to learn about Islam. I said, you're Muslim, right? Yeah, I want to learn about Islam. Can you teach me about Islam? So he said, okay, fine. He said, I'll teach you about Islam. So he said, I'm going to bring you some stuff to read. I said, okay, fine. So he kept his promise. He brought me some stuff to read. Bam, I went right through that stuff. I read right through it. So the next day, he was going to Temple at that time. And I would meet him on the corner of 27th and Lehigh. And I'd be like, you got some, because I knew what time he would come walking by. I said, you got anything else for me to read? He said, you got to read the stuff that I gave you. I said, I read that already. I said, give me something else. I said, here go the books. I read them already. Give me something else. So every day he would come by, baby, give me something else. Give me something else. So then one day I was like, listen, I read everything you gave me. I'm ready to become Muslim. He said, well, you got to take your time. I said, no, I'm ready to become Muslim. I said, I'm ready to change my life. I'm ready to become Muslim. I don't need to think about it anymore. I made my decision. So he said, okay, fine. He said, I'm going to come back, with some brothers. And he came back. It was on a Friday evening with some brothers, and they gave me my Shahada. That was actually in November of it was in November of 1992. It was in November of 1992, and alhamdulillah, I've been Muslim ever since by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Allahu akbar. Ngakara mawzawlo khairan barakallahu fihim. Ako alhamdulillah, alef le alhamdulillah kme basketi jia kme militaire la kme aitando passé New York. Okof alhamdulillah, donana alhamdulillah, salamaro kunde okunana akada Congo tusala. Comme ça, uluk masaraka islamaya papier islamaya matériel dama. Aka islamaya kala. Okof alhamdulillah islamaya kala yani nouveau cadeau dama jusqu'à ce qu'alhamdulillah islamaya kala kadon a décidé qu'aka shahadata akoko alibna do islamaya la. Tfaddal sheikh.
Alhamdulillah, what you want me?
So when you say you were ready to become Muslim now, so tell us about how you took the shahada and stuff like that.
Okay, well the brothers got together. They got together and they brought me together and they explained to me, the shahada and things like that. And I took my shahada, and once I took my shahada, I was like, I had made the decision that if I was going to become Muslim, I was going to become Muslim all the way. I wasn't going to be hemming and hawing, because my experience with religion growing up, like I said, my family wasn't really religious. So it was like, it was speaking about Isa alayhi salam and this, that, and the other, but you couldn't see it in your daily life, right? We just lived regularly, you know what I mean? And I had to go to church on Sunday, and my mom, my dad, they didn't go to church on Sunday, but they sent us. But you didn't see like the religion on a day-to-day basis. So my whole concept was, if I was going to become Muslim, then I was going to learn how to become Muslim and try to practice that on a daily basis. And like a lot of Muslims, I struggled in the beginning, and it was a while before, alhamdulillah, by Allah's permission, I was exposed to the dawah. First I was going to a Tablighi masjid. I didn't know any better. And then I was going to a Kwani masjid. I was still shaving my beard and, things of that nature. But alhamdulillah, by Allah's permission, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surrounded me with some brothers that were, striving and trying to practice the religion according to the Quran and Sunnah, upon the understanding of the Salaf Salih. And, like I said, Allah blessed me to be around brothers. And then when I started getting involved, I started once I started getting involved, really getting involved, the brothers told me about Germantown Masjid, and I started going up at Germantown Masjid, and I really got involved, and I was going to classes every day. And there was a lot of students coming from overseas, that were from Philadelphia. So they actually, being around them and their influence made me want to learn the religion, like not just learn how to pray and just pray every day and Kalas, that's it. That's all the religion you got with you. They really influenced me to want to learn the basic fundamentals of the religion, learn about the principles, learn about what the authentic Quran, the authentic Sunnah, learn the Quran, the importance of knowing who the scholars was, the importance of understanding the role of the students, and understanding the importance of Aqidah, and understanding Iman, and understanding the usuls of the religion. And alhamdulillah, I got involved with administration. I did security for a while. I know a lot of students, from my passings and going on and being in security. I first started out, Abdul Rahman Al Friki was the Imam. And then, at one time, Dawud D was the Imam, Abu Sam was the Imam, Talib Abdullah was the Imam. And, a lot of students were coming back and forth from overseas. A lot of them going to University of Medina. You had students that was studying with Sheikh Mukbil, Rahimahullah Ta'ala. And alhamdulillah, man, alhamdulillah, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that experience. And to this day, this experience continues. Alhamdulillah.
No, but Sheikh, those brothers that first came to your house, and the brother and his wife, they're the one that gave you the shahada.
Now, the brother's name was Abu Bakr. Him, and yes, he was the one that gave me my shahada. And there was a couple of other brothers there. I can't remember their name, but his name was actually, not only did he give me my shahada, he also gave me my name. He also gave me the name Ali. He also gave me the name Ali. And I was like, alhamdulillah, that was good. And I liked the name Ali because, growing up, I liked Muhammad Ali, the boxer. So I was like, okay, fine. And then when I started to learn who Ali was, Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiallahu anhu, then I really, really, really liked the name much better. Alhamdulillah.
Naam, alhamdulillah, nye mwaflam fo chena muso uluri kalimatu shahada da mapasu islama ya materu da ma islama ya kala aduna islama ya la. Sheikh Ali, barakallahu fikum, jazakumullahu khairan, alhamdulillah. Just before we close out, the last question is going to be reciting something from the Quran. But before that, alhamdulillah, myself, after moving to Philly, something that I noticed about you always in the masjid for the prayers and circles of knowledge. It just really amazed me. I'm like, alhamdulillah, knowledge, age does not affect not seeking knowledge. Meaning, you know what I'm saying? Whether the person young or old, they can seek knowledge at all ages. But what gives you the drive to constantly be in the masjid and not being ashamed of sitting in circles of knowledge with people who are younger? What gives you that drive to want to do that? Alhamdulillah, barakallahu fikum.
Well, fikum barakallah. Honestly, off the top of my head, just keeping it simple, there's nothing else. It's nothing else. I mean, alhamdulillah, by me accepting Islam, as we would say in America, I know both sides of the street. I know where I came from. See, I know where I came from, and everybody has their own personal story who reverted to Islam. But me personally, I know where I came from. And I was chasing that mirage. I was chasing that dunya. I was chasing the things that you find out, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tells us in so many words that, this world is nothing but plain amusement and deception. And when you come into Islam, the most important thing that I learned was the reality of the shaitan. Because after being Muslim and then seeing the world from an Islamic view, as opposed to how I was seeing it then, back then when I was doing what I was doing and living the way I was living, you couldn't tell me there wasn't anything wrong. Because the common concept with most Christians, not all, is that as long as I'm not killing nobody, I'm not robbing nobody, I'm not, breaking any laws as far as like to send me to jail, that, I'm not really doing anything wrong. But the reality is that Shaitan will make evil fair seeming and alluring to man. And I just was talking, it's funny that you asked me that question, that I was just talking to a brother yesterday after he shared, and I was talking about how we, and even my cousin, I was talking to him about how we grew up on shirk, kufa, superstition. We grew up on lies, but if we told a lie, we got a spanking for telling a lie, but we grew up on lies. Christmas, New Year's, Easter, Tooth Fairy, to the end of it, all lies, all lies. So when you look back, being a Muslim and looking back at all that, alhamdulillah, you have to thank Allah. Allah favors us with Islam. Us accepting Islam is not a favor to Allah. It's Allah's favor upon us. It's not a favor to Allah. It's Allah's favor on us. And if Allah blesses a person and guides them to Islam, I mean, after that, there's nothing else. There's nothing else. You drive, anybody that's hearing this message, you drive down the street, drive in your town, your city, and look at the people that's not Muslim. They lost. If you look at them, they're lost. They're lost. They don't want to accept why they was created. Allah created man and jinn. For what purpose? so that they can worship him. If we're not worshiping Allah, we're not fulfilling the purpose. So you're gonna always have a void. There's always going to be a void and an emptiness inside because we're not fulfilling the purpose. So, that's my perspective on that.
Allahu Akbar. Anga karamo alhamdulillah nyanya ninga pasene ya constater à chaque fois abes misiri kona abes selu ka abes lamaya dunia nyinka do abes qur'ana dursi ngo munya toni dunia nyinka da ko nyala sike kona la fembela jelen dunia nyinni ka dunia nyina alhamdulillah bai dunia nyinni la ani fana ka dina dunia nyina ko ala yanda batoli de kama ala ko qur'ana kona la wama khalaqatul jinna wal insa illa liya'budun ayandani anga batu ayanda nanga batu ako par exemple ko moga ke slamay e ma ke slamay na fo ibe ka ala rel nuson jano iker ala ike slamay do ala ka nema re ikan atina fo ikan nema re be ala ka fo do na slamay la ko anga mo chamala je dugo ko na la utaro be rom na parce que ute slam ute dina don kafiru de ute slamay don alamu blaslamay slaka donc ala ya blaslamay slaka nga fo ka walima don. Sheikh, barakallahu fikum. As I mentioned, the last question is the Quran. But before that, Sheikh, what general advice can you give to the Muslims? Especially being that you're from Philly. I mean, Hamza, I don't know if you're from here, but you spend a lot of time in Philly. Mm-hmm. What is it that you think would better the Muslims in Philadelphia and elsewhere, and especially in Philly, barakallahu fikum?
Wa fikum, barakallah. Just first, let's clarify. Alhamdulillah, Abu Tassi Ali King. I'm not a scholar. I'm not a student of knowledge. I'm not claiming to be anything other than what I am, trying to worship Allah to the best of my ability. But my sincere advice from life experiences is to fear Allah to the best of your ability. Do the best that you can do to do what Allah commanded and stay away from what He forbidden, and save yourself and your family from a fire whose fuel is men and stones, and leave off that which does not concern you, meaning leave off the affairs of the people. Stay away from the fitna. If the fitna reaches you, be silent and benefit yourself with beneficial knowledge. And remember, like Sheikh Salih Fawzan said, I read in his explanation of 40 hadith on leaving off that which does not concern you. If it's not anything that Allah is going to hold you accountable for or ask you about, leave it off and busy yourself with that which will benefit you, and stay away from the things that will not benefit you, will waste your time. Do not chase after the people. Do not chase after the faults of the people. Do not try to find out the secrets and the deficiencies of the people, because we got a lot to be held accountable for, and we don't need any more baggage. We don't need any more baggage than that.
Allahu Akbar. Anga karamo zawallahu khairan yani ngalla dilikan jima buluka Islam billa jilma kullu dilikan min bali buluka Islam billa jilma kasira alanya sirana kasira alanya alako qur'an ko ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha haqqa tuqatih kasira alanya ani fana ki rajjanjo ika dembayala ki janto ika dembayala ki ka dembaya kalandina la d'être concerné avec ta religion. Alako qur'an ko ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ya ayyuhal alako qur'an ko nala I can't remember the ayah about protecting yourself and your family from the hellfire.
No, I can't think of it right now.
نعم. alako qur'an ko ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha ya ayyuhalladhina نعم قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا يا أيها الذين آمنوا يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا. Can't remember the beginning of the ayah, but the ayah refers to قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا. That part of the ayah. قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا. نعم. كان تنيا أني أنغا ديمبيا كابوتا سماما. كان تنيا كان أنغا ديمبيا كابوتا سماما. Because whatever you mention, Sheikh, is profound, is beautiful. These are ayats referring to that. Protecting yourself and your families from the fire. Like you mentioned, being busy, having the fear of Allah. Likewise, you mentioned, alhamdulillah, being busy with your family. Barakallahu fikum. Okonna alhamdulillah, kan gani rajina kabo fitnama. Barakallahu fihi. Would you like to add something else?
No, that's sufficient. Alhamdulillah, barakallah.
Nah, I'm last thing.
No,
you already know, Sheikh.
Oh, subhanallah.
You already know, Sheikh.
I'm too nervous. I can't do it. Astaghfirullah, that name.
أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدعو اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام المسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون الماعون.
Allahu Akbar. Beautiful surah. May Allah Azza wa Jalla bless our Sheikh and reward him. Alhamdulillah, Zawla wa khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Now, Sheikh.